Well, hello there, and a warm, quite literally, a very warm welcome to our programme today. I don't know what the temperature is, but it is seriously warm for us here in Ireland. And I know the UK and Scotland and everywhere as well, and quite a lot of the world in different areas. So I'm just having a chat with Sarah there, and I'm not used to it, so I don't know how you are. But I think I feel better in the colder weather, and I can add layers and take them off. It's much more difficult when you're on the other side of things and having to strip off. But no, we're not doing that. It's not that kind of show. So we're just going to do the toots, as I would say. So I hope you're all well. I hope you're all keeping well. And I've got a couple of questions for you, and I've been doing a few videos for people and whatnot, and just asking this question really, because we are working on self-love and self-worth, and we have been learning to do that as never before for these past weeks and months. And basically, what I'm going to ask you today is, how well are you doing? How well do you think you're living your life? And how well do you think you are loving within that life? And you probably don't ever stop to think about that. How well are you living? Or are you just getting up and going through the motions of making the meals and eating and, the shopping? And I think a lot of people do get into a bit of a rut with that. And they're not doing it in a mindful, or as I would say, a heartful way, looking at your life in an appreciative way, appreciative of every single cell, everything that is working with you and for you in your creation, because that is the amazing thing, that God, the Creator, is working with you to create your reality. It's not you on your own. You're never on your own. And so you can take comfort from that. And that's where we've been coming in these past few months, because we are talking about doing that very thing very consciously. So consciously, we're becoming more and more aware of how we do speak to ourselves, how the power of our voice and those very words that are coming out your mouth. And you don't get a second chance with that or with that person. It's that one chance, and if you've blown it, you've blown it. Yeah, you might be able to go back and redress it a bit, but it definitely holds or packs a punch, so shall we say. So, it's about living your life consciously. If you're going to have a cup of coffee soon, it's about taking time to make the coffee, to make it really well, all these kind of things, and then to savor the taste of it. Think about those coffee beans. Where did they come from? Maybe Brazil, maybe Colombia, from somewhere around this beautiful planet, and it's made coffee in your cup right now. So there's that appreciation, there's that value to be attached to that. And I think when you do that, when you take a step back, when you don't just do it by rote, and here we go, make a cup of coffee, I'll get and do it all without really attaching any thoughtfulness, mindfulness, or fullness. So, yeah, it just happens. And I always used to think that at Sunday school when I was wee, you would go into the church, the big church on Sunday for an hour, and the minister would go, and that was what really put me off religion, because nobody was really mindful, paying attention to the words they were saying. They were just saying it out there. They just got over as fast as they could. And I've since heard that with some chanting, with Buddhists, they have such a, and they're going at 1,000 miles an hour. And it's, it doesn't really, for me, it doesn't mean anything because there's no heartfulness going into that. It's just been said by rote. Now, I'm not saying it doesn't have an effect. I believe it will, because I believe that the words within themselves are very powerful. But I think because I've worked with my voice all my life, getting singing lessons and all these things that I did, I have been more conscious of it perhaps than other people. And working with sound, as I have done all my life, and getting into Reiki and using the sound as well, because the sound healing with Reiki is amazing. So combining your healing with that. So it's a very powerful aspect of what we do in everyday life. And it's something we should learn to savor more and to savor the connections and the words that we're using with their connections to the max, absolute max. So take a deep breath. So that's it. So we're breathing nice and deeply, and we're taking that beautiful breath, and it is the breath of life. And therefore we are being very conscious of how we bring it in and how we distribute that through our bodies, right down to the tips of your toes, to the top of your head, and all points in between, and all the bodies, because it's not just a physical sensation, it's also a mental body experience, but it's also an emotional body experience. Bring it into your emotional state. Bring it into those tears that you haven't cried yet, that still need to come away. You need to let them go. And that's where you can love them, and love them with light, and that lightness in your heart. That's it. Take another deep breath. Because the power of speech is so important, and you are so important because you are the emissary of the light of God. There is no separation between you and God. You are as one. Remember, God built himself in the image of the Creator, yes? So we're all part of that creative energy. And the power of speech, you can build yourself up. You have that ability. You can build your friends up, your family up. But equally, you have that ability, but you can do the other. You can just as quickly diminish someone and put them down and really flatten them. We all have that ability. And I guess I used to be very black and white. Things were black and white, and I guess I was quite judgmental. I was certainly brought up during an age of judgmentalism in the family. And there was a lot of it around, and I guess I picked up on a lot of it, and therefore I was a judgmental person, and I've had to really hard on that, because the opposite of being judgmental is to be accepting. But that's got to start with you. If you really start with all of your own foibles and flaws, and you're able to accept them, then you'll be able to accept for everybody. And you'll be able to rise above being judgmental, because you can then recognize that, well, there isn't anything anybody said or done that you haven't probably thought about or said or done at some point. And maybe not in this lifetime, guys, maybe in a past life, but you've had so many of them, you don't even know about that. So, I mean, it's quite a difficult thing to tune into, but we've all had a lot of life experiences. Just going to ask you to take another breath. And breathing out. So, you have the power to build yourself up every day. Every day you get out of bed, you've got a choice. When your feet hit the floor, it's going to be a good day, or it's going to be a bad day. It's going to be a good day. Yeah, it's going to be a bad day. Feeling a bit fear in my tummy, in my head, or wherever. It's about awareness. Do you know what? There are certain words I've been saying these past few months. They just keep coming back, don't they? It's just, you just can't float through life seamlessly. Well, you can, but you won't have such a good experience, because everything I'm talking about here are things that I've learned from and I've grown from and with, because the more aware I became of what I was feeling and thinking and doing and saying, the more I became conscious of how others were behaving. Now, as a psychotherapist, I was taught to do a lot of that and empathize. I don't think you get taught to empathize. I think you're either a good empathizer or you're not. But it is wonderful being able to step in. I just always call it stepping into someone else's shoes and wearing those shoes for a few days, because actually it gives you a flavour of what that person's life is like, but not full experience. But it gives you a flavour. But you can help to change that person, or you can start with yourself. So I just think it's like geography, it's like countries. I always used to get taught that in marketing and things like that, and they were teaching me. It was Barclays Bank I worked for back in the day, when we were selling Visa cards to an unsuspecting lot of countries and people who didn't know about Visa. So part of my job as a sales rep was to go out and educate people on how Visa cards could really, really help them. When I look back on it now, I think, maybe it was and maybe it wasn't. We'll leave that to history, can look back on that one. But my boss used to say to me, now, always start with your home market. Always start with yourself. So if the shop on the corner of your street is a good shop to sell Visa, bark the card into, to accept the cards as a service, then do it. Because it's much cheaper for you to go there and do it there in your own backyard than travelling away to the other side of town to do it. So if you extrapolate that, it's like, well, at that time I was in Glasgow, so it's like working in Glasgow is infinitely preferable to getting in the car and travelling around and going to Edinburgh, which I did regularly, charged about 400 or 500 miles a week. And yeah, so there was this thing always about starting with yourself. And then as I got into the healing yourself, saying all of that, I thought, well, this all just extends to that, because the healing, there's no point in me, I'm going to tell you all how to heal yourself. Not much point in me doing that if I can't actually demonstrate to you as an example of, oh, here's how you could do this, and here's how you could do it a bit better. So I've been there, I've kind of been there, and I've done it. And I'm sharing what I can with you to help you. Because I reckon most of you have been doing this for a long time. You'll have been working on yourself and your deservability and your self-love. And every now and again you'll think, oh, I've really done it now. Oh, I've got there now. I know I've reached that. I've just got to that nirvana, to that place. And, I'm just so happy, so happy. And then the next day you're waking up, and because of the work you did the day before, something else has come up for you to look at. And boom, back down. It's like snakes and ladders, I used to think. Very good at going up the ladders and not so good coming down the snakes. But each time you go a little higher and you come down less. So you're always building on what you knew. But one of the great tricks is just to take your voice and begin to affirm. I have the power to build myself up and join with God, with the Creator, and with Jesus in creating a wonderful life experience. Now, you're not doing that for anybody else. You're doing it for you. You have the power. But because I'm sharing this, but I know that when you're in a good place, when you're vibrating, your vibrations are, then you're affecting everybody in the room that you're working with, or the restaurant you walk into, the cafeteria, and you are dispersing those beautiful light vibrations, merging with those around you that are not consciously awake, are not in such a good place. You've got the opportunity. This is where being a light worker is so wonderful. I have sat on so many aircraft that just sat there at the back or whatever. Used to travel around a lot. And I would just sit there and I would bring in the light of God, and I would bring it into every cell and body, and then I would channel it through into every person on the aircraft, every air hostess or air hoster, whatever you call them, pilots, you name it, and the whole thing. Then I would go into the aircraft itself, into the cellular structure of this beautiful, handmade, made by man, these beautiful aircraft and the engines. And it's a gift for people who are nervous about flying, because nothing can happen, because God is holding this aircraft in the air. So just take a deep breath. And if you feel like it, close your eyes and just give some feeling to that. How would that be? It would relax you immensely, I would think. And so you're taking your power, your beautiful power, and you're sharing it. It's not just for you on that particular day. You're making a conscious choice to share it with those that you're traveling with. And I have seen many miraculous things happen on board aircraft, not least children that have been screaming their heads off, things like that, just going quiet. Just feeling they know that they've not long come from these higher energies. They're familiar with them, and they just settle into that positive vibration. So you have created that with God, with Creator, with the love and light of the divine. That's it. And as you breathe, you're thinking, well, I am listening to me. Because sometimes I get people saying, well, people don't listen to me. They don't see me. Well, they're not going to unless you hear you and see you. If you don't pay any attention to you or see yourself, how do you expect others to do it? You see, it all starts with you. It was never about them out there. It's always between you and your maker, creator, God, the divine. And you are one with that energy. And wow, it is powerful. I am listening to me. I am listening to God and Creator. They are listening to me. God and the Creator have seen me. And they are loving and appreciating me as never before. And that's because I am loving and appreciating me as never before. And I have learned and am learning even more to forgive myself. I don't always get it right. Don't know who the right would be in whose eyes. But if you think you didn't get it right, if you don't always get it right, forgive yourself. You did your best, didn't you? You didn't go out to really harm or hurt people. You've always done your best. I am always doing my best. I am worthy and I deserve God's love. I am worthy and I deserve God's love. And I trust that God has my back. And God loves me and cares for me. And as you allow those words to sink in, allow them to come in through every pore in your body, through every cell. Just feel every cell turning pink with love and light. And it will bring a smile to your face without a doubt. Because you will know, because God will give you a sign. The Creator will give you a sign. They were listening. And they were applauding your words as you built yourself up. And remember to listen every day to what you're saying, because if you go into a negative diatribe about yourself, then just acknowledge it. Just say, well, I don't know where that came from, but well, it was maybe a bit of anger and frustration coming out or whatever. Okay. Just acknowledge it. It's okay. It's okay to be short of temper sometimes, to be a bit irritated or frustrated. That's okay. Because I forgive myself. I don't need to beat myself up about it. Quite the contrary. I'm catching myself. I'm proud that I'm catching myself doing something negative, if you like, so that I can forgive it and let it go. And that's when I call the, excuse me, that's when I call the angels in, because Archangel Michael Most High is just wonderful at coming in, using his sword and cleaning in your auric field everything that you've just released. If there were any negative things that were not resonating with your positive statements, then they've been released into the ether all around you. He's now cutting them away. He's cutting the cords away. He's cutting the ties away, and he's pulling out the hooks. And he's taking time to do that diligently. It's not just yanking them out. He's being particular about it, is the word he's giving me. And so we give great thanks to these beings who are also working with us. They're with us, they're around us, and whatever they can do to help and assist you, they'd be delighted to. You just have to ask. Ask, and it will be given unto you. And if it's for your highest good and your greatest joy, it will arrive. The only corollary, is that a word? That comes in is if it's not really for your highest good. They would be careful about that. You're only given things that you can cope with, that you can deal with, that you can learn with, that you can grow with, because that's why we're here. We're here to learn and love and grow and love. So it's all about growing and loving. And you know, a couple of weeks ago now, my eldest brother passed away, and he was a fair age, 88, and he passed to the light. And I know how very ill he was. It brought him great peace, comfort, and calm. And obviously I couldn't be there. He was over in Derby in England. But I spoke to him on the phone, and we had laughter. We made the best that we could. But you know, his son, my nephew, was telling me that he had said to young Alistair, you know, there's a guy sitting in my room and I don't know who he is and I don't know why he's here. And Alistair, God bless him, who does his course in miracles, is very good. And he said to him, well, he said, it could be Jesus, Dad, coming to collect you, to take you to the light. And I thought, what great presence of mind my nephew had. And I just thought that was wonderful, because of course I know that to be true. And I also knew that Brian apparently smiled and laughed and thought it was a joke, because he would not be a spiritually, consciously aware person. But I thought, yeah, you know, there he was. They were waiting on him. The guide had arrived to take him onwards and upwards. And I think once Brian did move from one vibration to the next, that he would know peace and calm and that feeling of being loved, and that God had his back. It is quite remarkable. And I just thought it was such a beautiful thing. I thought I would share it with you. I've heard of this happening with people before, that a guide comes into the room to be with you as you're passing over. So it's, yeah, that was quite an experience, and quite an experience for my nephew who stepped in there very ably to guide his father and to reassure him that all was well. So I'm going to leave you with that now. It's definitely a time to look at life differently. Things are changing so much, and yet they're not. It just goes out to the extremes. It's like the pendulum swinging. It goes to one extreme, and it's been to one extreme. It's now coming back again into the middle, and it will find, the pendulum will find its place very gently, swinging backwards and forwards, in and out with the breath of life. And you're remembering every day to meditate, to connect with God, to connect with Creator, or Jesus, or Buddha, or whoever it is you want to connect with, of the light that is, and bring more light into your life. You just need to intend it to be so, and to apply attention to it with the intention of bringing it into being. So, beloveds, we have spent some lovely time together, and my great thanks to Sarah, who's just been a stalwart throughout, because she's had to duck and dive and weave with all kinds. Life happens. Life happened to me. I had to cancel a show. These things happen. We just need to be flexible, which I wouldn't call me the most flexible, but we do get there. And so thanking Sarah so very much for all that she's done. And we're just going to hang up our microphone, or I'm hanging mine up for a few months. Now we're thinking we're coming back September, October time with a whole new program, which I've started to build. So we're on to that. Meanwhile, I am learning and loving and growing and sharing and getting it out there. I can't write so easily now because my eyesight's pretty duff. Although God is on the case. I got a big healing from a friend the other day, and just fabulous. So, there isn't anything you cannot do. And when you are in the right place and at the right vibration and intensity, you can undoubtedly work miracles in your life. Magic and miracles. So get in about it. And again, thanks to Sarah. Thank you to all of you for tuning in, because I know a lot of you tune in after the event and catch up with things. And it's just been my privilege to share the little bits that I know with you. So I'm going to bid you a fond farewell until we meet again. And stay well and stay cool, so very warm. Thank you, Sarah. And I see you in there now. And again, thank you. Bless you.